ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to Unheard Stories. Your presence surely drives these events forward. I am Lubna Hassaniya, and I come to you from beautiful Southern California. It is a sincere pleasure to have you all with us today, whether you joined us from Lebanon, from Ohio, from California, or anywhere else around the globe. I would like to first take a few moments to welcome the dignitaries among us. We have our former ambassador to the US, His Excellency Gabriel Isa, welcome. We have former ambassador to Kuwait, His Excellency Jean Macaron. We have Councillor Mirna Khawli, former Consul General of Lebanon in LA. We have Councillor Ghassan Abdel Khaliq, our Chargé d'Affaires in India. We have Honorary Consul of Lebanon in Tahiti, Monsieur Joseph Maroun. We are also honored to have Judges James Cado and Tony Raphael join us today. I would like to also thank the French Alliance at the French Embassy in DC for sharing our event with the rest of the Francophone community. Our conversation today will last approximately 1 hour and will be followed by a question and answer session. You can leave your questions in the chat box at any time or wait until the end of the conversation to ask in person. And now it is my distinct pleasure and honor to introduce to you my very special guest today, Honorable Anthony Asher. He is a husband of more than 6 decades, a proud father of 5, the Honorary Consul of Lebanon for the Greater Cleveland area. He is an entrepreneur, a visionary, and a philanthropist. Mr. Asher, welcome to Unheard Stories.
Lubna, thank you very much. It's truly my pleasure and my privilege to be with you today to share my story about our center in Lebanon. But also, before I start, I really want to applaud you because of your idea, your purpose, your mission in bringing the Unheard Stories to our community, to bring our community together, and to celebrate the people in our heritage who have reached out to do more for the community. And to you, congratulations for a wonderful idea.
Well, thank you. Thank you so much for accepting my invitation. It's quite the honor to have you with us today, Mr. Asher. Now, Mr. Asher, you were born in Lorain, Ohio, as a first-generation Lebanese American. Your father had crossed oceans and continents to get to the United States of America, the land of economic opportunity and freedoms. Now, Gibran Khalil Gibran, having lived a similar experience, and in a poem in which he addressed Lebanese immigrants in 1926, said, and I quote, "I believe that you have inherited from your ancestors an ancient dream, a song, a prophecy, which you can proudly lay as a gift of gratitude upon the lap of America," unquote. The legacy you continue to create, Mr. Asher, is that gift, the manifestation of our ancestors' ancient dream. Growing up, you were taught to appreciate your Lebanese heritage and loved Lebanese traditions. But it wasn't until many years later, and if I'm doing the math correctly, we talked about this yesterday, you were 59 years of age when you took your first trip ever to Lebanon. Can you share with us the story of that trip? What prompted it?
The travel ban was lifted by the United States after the difficulties that Lebanon experienced. And my son and I traveled with the task force to Lebanon. And during those travels, we visited dignitaries and did the things, the sightseeing that we did with the task force. After the formal event, we visited and traveled with family and their friends. We had a tremendous time. And I knew my son was truly Lebanese because of the way he drove the road to the mountains. I was petrified and he was very confident we could do it. But we had a great time, Lubna. We enjoyed it tremendously. During that period, I met with a lot of young people in our extended family and their friends. And I heard the same story from all those wonderful young men and women about the fact that they wanted to stay in Lebanon but couldn't because they couldn't find the right jobs, the right paychecks. Growing up in my hometown of Cleveland, Ohio, I knew that we were experiencing the same brain drain. The differences were that they wanted to stay in Lebanon, the young Lebanese, but the Clevelanders could leave anytime they want and did. They preferred not to stay. I had the information leaving Lebanon, but I didn't know what to do with it. I had no way to truly help.
Yeah, well, I'm glad you had some fun there, and I'm glad you got to talk to these young people there. And apparently that first trip to Lebanon turned out to be significant. It opened up something new and different for you and your family. And you have a history, Mr. Asher, of embracing change. You had gone down a groundbreaking career path before you graduated from law school in your early 20s. You launched Guardian Title and Guarantee Agency shortly before you graduated, and that grew to be one of the largest title agencies in Cleveland, Ohio. And a few years later, you started Weston Incorporated, an industrial real estate ownership firm, which grew to be one of the largest privately held industrial property owners in an 8-state area. And that is massive. Apparently, that early determination you had in you, Mr. Asher, that entrepreneurialism did not result from your college education, nor did it result from your lifetime experience. The question is, what fueled that passion to innovate? And what gave you the courage to take risks at such an early age?
I had the opportunity to incorporate Guardian Title, a real estate title insurance agency in Cleveland, when I was 24 years old. It was easier for me at that time to go into business than it was to get a job. So I seized the opportunity to do that. I was in my last year of law school. I was married. I had 2 young children. I had a secretary. I had a little bit of money. I had the idea that I was going to do everything, all the functions. And I had no customers. I had to do something pretty quickly because the money was going to run out. And I know that and learned that necessity is the mother of all invention, and I had to invent. But I learned from those experiences that innovation and entrepreneurship were absolutely the right thing to do to get customers, to keep them, to grow a business. It's an integral part of what you do to grow a business. Mm-hmm. I enjoyed creating and innovating, and I knew that I did through school and through my limited work life before I started the business. But I knew that it was so important to continually do that to stay ahead of all the competition. Innovation and entrepreneurship proved to be a platform for me to create, to be a leader, to motivate people, to be motivated. And it gave me the opportunity that almost every morning I could wake up excited to go to work. So I just love the concept of entrepreneurship and the concept of innovation.
That's great. And just like you said, necessity is indeed the mother of invention, the drive of our creativity. That's Plato for you. Although it wasn't until years later that you visited Lebanon. You had always displayed, Mr. Asher, and continue to do so, an exceptional commitment to your Lebanese heritage. You received the Lifetime Achievement Award from the Northern Ohio Lebanese American Association based on that commitment. How did your journey with USEK, the Holy Spirit University of Kaslik, how did it start? And why did you suggest a center for innovation and entrepreneurship on its campus?
As as you know, I grew up in America, but I also grew up in the American culture, but I also grew up in the Lebanese culture. When I was home, it was Lebanon. When I was outside, it was America. And I learned that I loved my heritage and my culture. Um, Father Hadi Mahfouz was president of Holy Spirit University at this probably 12 years ago now, and he wanted to transition the French teaching school to an English speaking school. And to do so, he made several trips to the United States, visited several cities. And when he visited Cleveland on several occasions, I generally met with him and talked with him, and we became very friendly. I knew what his mission was. That friendship grew, and I really wanted to help him get the accreditation in America that he needed and wanted, so that once he transitioned to an English speaking school, he could collaborate with schools in America. This was the perfect storm, the perfect scenario for me, because I could give back to my heritage, I could help the university, and I could give back through something that I've done my entire life: innovate and be an entrepreneur. I had been associated with Cleveland State University and their outreach program, and knew about all the various centers in the United States that do the innovation and entrepreneurship learning, hands-on learning. Stanford was the start of Silicon Valley, and other universities, big universities up and down the East Coast, brought in a think tank, a think box, a design center, brought in an innovation center by a lot of different names. And gradually it's come to the Midwest. So I was associated with Cleveland State and was associated with entrepreneurship programs that they had and wanted to help them as well. So again, it was the perfect scenario. And it gave to us the ability to bring forth the mission for the entire center, which is to create an alternative opportunity for our young people to stay in Lebanon, be a startup, be self-employed, hire people in Lebanon, create more jobs, affect the economy in some way, help it grow, and help it diversify. When the idea was first presented, it was given politeness. They didn't quite understand what it was. Later on, they agreed to establish the center, but with a lot of reservations and a lot of trepidation. Today, they fully embrace it. They totally understand the concept. They understand that we have to change the culture on the campus, that we have to change the thinking of the students, that we have to provide for them hope, a lot of hope. And the students that come with the hope that they can start a company, come with the hope that they can stay in Lebanon. Mm-hmm. And that's exactly where we want to be. That's how.
Yes. Well, I'm glad that your idea gained traction with USEK. The center is desperately needed in Lebanon, Mr. Asher. Thank you for that. I would like to take a moment here, Mr. Asher, to congratulate you for your Honoris Causa Doctorate Award you received from USEK in 2015. Yes. That's outstanding. Congratulations.
It was my pleasure to receive it. It's Lubna, I had 3 years of college. I never graduated college, but I did graduate law school.
Yes.
And to receive a doctorate degree was just perfect. I mean, it was so wonderful for me, and I just appreciate it every day of my life. And I thank them always.
That's excellent. That's excellent. Mr. Asher, your vision is to help, like you said, young people stay and thrive in Lebanon, basically by giving them all they need to create their own jobs, like you said, and hire others in the process. What academic programs, let's say in leadership, management, entrepreneurship, does the Asher Center provide for the students to help them unleash these innovations?
The center really doesn't provide the academics. It's the university that provides the academics. And there's a partnership between, and as we go along, we'll explain more the partnership between the university and the center. We have a major degree program in the School of Business called Management and Entrepreneurship. We have a minor in entrepreneurship. And this coming fall, they will install a master's program or an executive program of some sort, a graduate program in the business school. In addition to that, we will continually add classes to the program of management and entrepreneurship. It's a 3-year program. There's 99 credit hours needed for a degree, and there'll be a concentration taken of 24 credit hours in entrepreneurship. We hope to bring in, well, we don't hope, we will bring in over a period of time 100 students in each of the grades, so that we'll have 300 students in entrepreneurship in this concentration. There will eventually be 36 hours from which they pick their 24 hours for the concentration. As I said, it's a partnership. They need the academic learning, and then they come to the center for the hands-on learning. Okay, that's where they start to build a company, knowing and having this academic knowledge that they get at the very same time that they're building these companies. So all our programs, all our resources, and we'll talk about those, I'm sure, and the academic part, all of that comes together to help build startups. They're one can't go without the other two.
True. And like you said, there you have plenty of resources that you put at the students' disposal to prime their innovations with immediate success. Could you share with us some of these resources, Mr. Asher?
Yes, I can. We have an entrepreneur who's in residence. He's on call anytime somebody wants to talk to him. We have 40 mentors. We have workspace, co-working space for him. Pre-COVID, there was internships that we were seeking and have provided some of them, and we'll talk about those a little later. We do brainstorming sessions. We've set up an investment fund committee and an advisory and investment committee that is investing now into our startups. We have alliances with different organizations. We guide them all the way through the process, from the ideation to the accelerator programs to the incubator programs, and they're given guidance. We give a lot of encouragement. And direction, because there's so many emotions that are experienced by these young people and even older people. The people experience these emotions because today the idea might work, tomorrow it's not going to work. Today, next day, well, maybe it's going to work again. And they need the moral support that we can give them. In addition to all of that, we do the competitions. They go out to compete with their ideas against other people who have ideas. The competitions are several. We prepare them for it, and we've done pretty well with it. They've accumulated about $350,000 in award money, and services valued at over $300,000. And it's through those competitions that they continually learn more about and get exposed to other people, so that investment may happen someday for them. So those are the resources that we have, and we continually build them, expand them, and through the through the collaborations that we have with other universities, continually grow those resources.
Well, that's impressive. You have so much there. That's absolutely great. Collaborations are also key, Mr. Asher. There's no debate that they can make all the difference sometimes. How are you creating a culture of academic collaborations at USEK?
Well, right now we have two faculties that have incorporated entrepreneurship into their courses, into their teaching. One that we're very proud of is the engineering department. They understand that engineers need to learn engineering, but they need to know how to commercialize or at least understand what their leaders of their companies are thinking about in terms of commercialization and in terms of making a bottom line profit. We need to expand that, and part of our objectives each year is to bring in two other faculties into this program. We have two professors who have started their own startups, and they brought students with them, and they have the ideas, and they're working to bring a startup to fruition. We need hundreds of professors to do the very same thing. The other part of it is that, again, the university as a whole is totally supportive, as I mentioned before, that they understand that they have to work hard to change the culture of everybody that's there. And the center does a lot to talk to a lot about that, in that they work with the people, they explain it, they become judges in competitions, say, for instance, in the architectural school, and ask questions. Your idea is great. What does it really mean commercially? Can it make some profits? We also, because of University Hospital in Cleveland and the hospital at Jbail in Lebanon, associated with the university, they've applied for a grant, a $3 million grant in diagnostic innovations, or innovative diagnostics, one or the other. They've applied for that grant, and they're working to get that. Hopefully that will mean something as well, because there'll be startups that come out of all that research that's there. We do everything we can to talk to people at the campus, to talk to the professors, the deans, the staffs, the president, everybody. Talk to them about starting a company, getting entrepreneurship involved. And COVID kind of slowed us down a little bit, but once the campus opens up again, that program, getting more people into the culture, will really happen. One of the last things that we do is we always organize so many different ideation labs for the students. It's the awareness and the programs, the awareness program, the ideation program, where they all come together to formulate an idea, formulate a group that they're going to work with to possibly have a startup company.
Yes. Yeah. Go ahead.
That's it. That's
okay.
all.
Yeah, you're talking about bringing people together from diverse backgrounds and perspectives, and that's crucial, because as we all know, sometimes these problems are very complex and do require interdisciplinary and sometimes multidisciplinary approach. And that has been your strategy, like you said, with ACIE. You've engaged students from all 12 colleges and 5 institutions at USEK. And you've also engaged everyone else in the process, from faculty to alumni to staff through different initiatives, programs, and activities, all in the process of creating these startups. What are some of these programs and activities, Mr. Asher? You have plenty.
As I mentioned, we have the ideation lab, we have validation sprints, we have hackathons, we have awareness centers on programs, we have design thinking, we have brainstorming. We have a mentoring program that's very extensive. We have a general business accelerator program. We're going to start a health care innovation accelerator and investment fund. And we have the connections at the university. We have an ecosystem, a network, where we can bring the students together with people in this network and help them work through the questions, work through their ideas, and guide them in the right direction. Our programs pre-COVID were at least one a week. We also have a recruiting program for high schools. It's a competition, an ideation competition in the high schools to present to them entrepreneurship and to present to them our school and our program in entrepreneurship, giving them another idea to think about for their college careers.
Would you like to? Yes.
I was going to say those are our programs.
Yes. Would you like to probably talk a little bit about the symposiums or the ACIE Global Accelerator, maybe?
Yes. The accelerator program was a general business program. Anybody in any business could be in it. It was held last summer, and it'll be held again this summer. It'll be held every summer. We had 90 applications from 23 universities and 12 countries. We picked 15 companies that could be in this program. It was an 8-week program. It was an hour and a half to 2 hours a day, 3 days a week. It produced some phenomenal results from all these different companies. And we have stayed with these companies throughout the year, continually mentoring them and continually growing with them. We have a program that we co-hosted with the Holt Prize Foundation, which is part of the International Holt Schools of Entrepreneurship. This was a regional. They started nationally, they go regional, then they go internationally. So I don't know exactly how many regions, but I'll just say there's 12 regions. So those 12 finalists go to the international, and there's $1 million worth of prize money.
Great.
Pretty amazing the whole people do. Not only do they have a lot of universities throughout the world, but they also have this summit or this conference, this competition. And our students do pretty well in these competitions. We were very privileged to have it. It's something that not all the schools do, but we were very privileged. We had 180 participants virtually. And from there, they had to pick the ones that go on to the international final.
Yeah.
Another thing that we're doing is that we have this symposium that's co-hosted by Cleveland State University and by the Holy Spirit University. A symposium is where professors write papers. And we'll have in the 2019 symposium, there were 60 professors that wrote papers. We accepted 25. The 25 were presented. The professors actually came to Cleveland where it was held. Every other year it's in Beirut, every other year it's in Cleveland.
Mm-hmm.
And the professors present their papers. There's a breakout room, if you will, where the professor goes and people come and listen to it. People question the professor, and it's all about research in entrepreneurship. They're trying to apply their research into entrepreneurship. This year's general topic for the symposium, is a new era in entrepreneurship.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? Do we adapt and do we innovate, and how do we go about doing that? So we will have professors. Unfortunately, it's going to be virtual this year. It's not going to be in Lebanon the way it was in 2017. I can tell you that the people that were in Lebanon in 2017 just had a wonderful time. And it's too bad we can't showcase our country this year.
We will soon.
The other thing that we're doing is we're starting with it will be established in the fall of this year, a health tech, healthcare accelerator program and investment fund. It's only for health tech companies, not for general business as the one in July will be. We will pick out of all the applicants 5 companies to work with, and we will establish a fund of about $800,000 to $900,000 that will be used for the expenses of managing these companies and for investing into these companies. So that program will start. The people for that program will come from any place in Lebanon. They won't just be students. And generally, there'll be companies that will be more than just ideation, more than just an idea. Although it could be that we select one of those programs. People that are a little further along than just an idea of a medical device or a procedure or a drug or whatever, even a software program for administering. We're pretty excited about this one because we not only will have a lot of investment money, but we'll have additional hands-on mentoring and advice for these 5 companies. Those are the major programs for acceleration and for academia that the center does.
Yes. And like you said, collectively, they attracted thousands of attendees and drawn thousands of participants. That's great. It's an outstanding accomplishment, not only for ACIE, Mr. Asher, but also for Lebanon in general. Your collaborations go even further than you've mentioned already. You are also working on establishing collaborative business relationships. Can you tell us a little bit about these relationships and maybe shed light on a couple of them for us?
Certainly. When we can collaborate with a business and the students work with that business, mm-hmm. it's so good for the students to learn because they're going to experience the successes and the failures firsthand. And we have 2, and I'll showcase those 2, but we want so many more where our students are working with a business. We want businesses to come and say, here's my problem. How would you people solve it for us? And put us to work for that. We would like very much and we have a possibility of putting together a programming, hiring the people for a programming company in Lebanon that wants to hire people to program. The two programs that we have, one, the founder is a gentleman by the name of Mr. Charlie Ibrahim, an Australian, who runs a very, very large aluminum manufacturing worldwide company. He even has a small plant in Sandusky, Ohio, which is about 100 miles from Cleveland. Charlie also has a farm in Akkad, and he wants to make that a smart farm. So he has retained the services of some of our students so that we can, calls the company ATech, Agriculture Tech, because he wants to have a technology brought in to how you run a farm. And once they establish this technology, he wants to start up the company with the students and sell those services to farmers in Lebanon so they can be more productive and they can bring forth crop and animals more consistently than what we do now. The product will be more consistent. A gentleman by the name, a gentleman by the name of Pierre Tuma in Austin, Texas, has a couple of businesses, one of which is a product design business, and he was an instructor for us in our Global Business Accelerator program, and hopefully will be again this year. He spoke for 2 days, did a phenomenal job. But he's also in the biomedical business, and he has an office in Lebanon. He has hired 4 interns to go into the lab and come up with, hopefully, a product that will help women with fertility problems. And if they find the right solution, then they'll be able to incorporate and have a startup. And it's a tremendous opportunity for our biomedical students to be able to get guidance from Pierre and be able to produce a product like this that means so much to so many people. The ability to work with an entrepreneur, either in the lab, at a farm, in a manufacturing facility, in any type of business whatsoever, is extremely important. And one of the things that we had was a program for entrepreneurship, kind of stopped by COVID, and hopefully soon we'll start that program again so that more of our students can associate directly with entrepreneurs face to face almost every day.
That's great. That's great, Mr. Asher. Thank you for rallying all these good people and great companies to come and help. Now, since its inception some 40 years ago, ACIE has created at least 46 startups, right?
Yes.
Each one of these startups is a great story to be told. Can you tell us about a couple?
Certainly. One of the very first is Starchy, which has a natural liquid spray for fruit that has a peel. And this spray now keeps it fresh, keeps the color, keeps the taste for over 50 days without being in cold storage. Presently, today, they use a wax. You go to the store, you got an apple, you got to take off the wax. This liquid, starchy material will come off just by washing it very easily. Starchy went to several of our competitions, and each competition that they went to was a little more difficult, but they kept winning and winning. They went to the Netherlands. They won that competition. It was $50,000 that they won, but they also made a connection with a German agricultural firm that invested $850,000 into Starchy. They have more investment since then into their company. They hopefully, excuse me, are going to do very well and come out soon with a joint ventures ask for a lot of money and get their company up and running. Sea Green is solving the problem of solid waste out of these water treatment plants, and they're trying to convert that to a fertilizer. They're going to establish in the Baca their plant, and they have an investment now, I think it's close to $1 million into that plant and their operations. And they hope to eventually go out for a bigger raise of money. Preeti Bikes is a health food snack. She's been in business for a while. She's been selling product in Lebanon, and someday she'll be able to do more. Another one is GPAC, and amazing to me, but they're going to replace plastic, single-use plastic covering, and the package they're coming up with is made out of grapes. I don't know how to even think of making a package out of grapes, but these kids do, and they are reaching success. The last one is dyslexia. And it's a software program, and it's to teach the students in Lebanon who are dyslexic the Arabic language. Mm-hmm. This one's close to my heart because it took me a long time to understand that I was dyslexic and in the English language. And there are so many people, so many successful people that are dyslexic. Mm-hmm. I think Bill Gates, the head of Google, is dyslexic, and so many other people. So it's a wonderful thing that they're trying to do. As we said, we had 46, excuse me, Luba. Mm-hmm. We have 46 startup companies. There's really 13 that have progressed to a point where we can really help them accelerate their process. The other 46 are in different stages, been slowed because of COVID, but hopefully that 46 will, the other of the 46 their growth will increase very quickly. Our goal is to produce 20 to 30 startups a year. Mm-hmm. It's an ambitious goal, but really looking forward to doing that.
Good luck to all of these startups. Really, it's hard work and a lot of commitment in time and energy and everything else. Now, all these initiatives create a landscape that may not only be productive to entrepreneurs, but also appealing to investors. What else is being done, Mr. Asher, to encourage and boost investor confidence?
Well, as I mentioned, we have this investment and advisory board that was part of the university's moving forward program. When COVID hit, they put together a master plan and started executing it very quickly. The moving forward program established this investment group of people from all over the world. Mm-hmm. And that program has been very helpful for 2 and possibly another 2 more of our startups. We, as I mentioned, are starting the healthcare fund, and that healthcare fund for 5 is what they call a cohort, but it's one cohort. We hope to do 2 a year. So we'll be raising $900,000 twice. We have a matching fund that'll put in half the money. I've mentioned to you that Starchy and Seed Green have had investments coming from actual individuals, but over the course of all these startups, they've raised some over $5 million of investment into their companies. So there's always the possibility and there's always the availability of investment from corporations or from individuals who would like to invest in a particular company in which they have a lot of knowledge. Investment comes by itself, or it comes with somebody who has the knowledge to help them grow the business. We're continually looking for different ways to develop funds, to get people to invest individually or corporately. And we are always looking for those people either locally or internationally as well. Investment opportunities for us are abound. And when we start with 20 to 30 startups a year, we will have a large need for a lot of money. So anybody out there listening, if they'd like to invest, please contact us. We're there for the money.
Yes, you have a colossal task at hand, Mr. Asher, and Lebanon is going through extraordinary times. I'm gonna keep going on the same wavelength here and ask you, what help does the center need today to position itself as the leader in innovation and entrepreneurship, not only in Lebanon, in the region and worldwide?
We need everybody that's listening. We need every Lebanese in America or worldwide to be connected in some way to this center, whether it's small or whether it's large. We need to give hope to all these students, and not just students, but anybody who wants to start a company. We need, at the very minimum, that you give us your email address so we can send you our monthly newsletter. We need mentors. We need people who give internships. We need people who can be distribution channels for our services and our products that we are making. We need speakers, people to come and speak. We need volunteers of all kinds. We need, believe it or not, we need money. Prior to COVID, and as I mentioned before we started Lubna, we had a program of finding 1,000 people to donate $500 a year for 5 years. And we want all that money to go to scholarship, not to operations, not to investment, but all to scholarships for students who come to the university for a degree in management and entrepreneurship, with that concentration in entrepreneurship. People who want to be working at the center to start up companies. We want investment into these companies, as well as I had just mentioned. And we would like people to recommend people to be on our board of directors. We have 3 overarching objectives, goals, our plan. We want to be sustainable. We want to be sustainable in 4 different ways: financially, academically, with collaborations, and with a strong infrastructure. We want to run this like a business. We want to be independent. We want to be business people teaching business. We want to have for the school and the center the reputation of being the leaders in the MENA region, the Middle East, North Africa region, and then maybe even further. But we want to establish that reputation. I feel that we are right now actually leaders in that area because of the number of startups that we have, because of the academics that we have. We have a center that has space, its own space. We have staff. We're going to add to that staff this year. We're going to continually build their infrastructure. We need people that connect us to universities so we can collaborate either through a center or academically. We need people to help us find foundations who could give money to entrepreneurship or give scholarships. Excuse me. We need people who will give scholarships or give the $500 a year. We need donations of any kind, small or large. Please, whatever it is, talk to people, ask people to, find out more about us, learn more about us, and be there for us. Be there for the students. Be there for the people, the professors, okay, who aren't students anymore, obviously, but people who are older than students who want to build a startup and stay in Lebanon and keep the students that are working for them in Lebanon. I truly believe that changes can be made through business. I really believe that's what happens in America. We all hear about the political system. We all hear about the media. And we all hear about the Fortune 500 or Fortune 1000 companies. But yet what really drives the bus in America are all the small businesses, the small entrepreneurs that are all over. We hire 10, 15 times more people, the small businesses do than the large businesses. I believe that business can change what goes on in Lebanon. And I believe that the young people and other people have that energy, have that motivation to do it. So I ask people to just get involved. Find somebody else who will get involved. We're putting together, I think, I don't know if I mentioned it or not, a board of directors. The board of directors, right now, we have 7 of the 12 that I'd like to have on a board. 7 who are giving of their time, their talent, and their treasure. They're very generous with their money, but they also are very generous with their time because they have a passion. They have the passion that we do to want to give the hope, to get people involved, to build this, to help our country. And we're looking for 5 more. So if anybody could make a recommendation of someone who would share the passion, has the time, has the financial means to be on the board, they're successful entrepreneurs. The 7 that we have are all very successful, all from different parts of the United States. All people who, again, have this passion. It's very, very important. And if I may, I've been asked a question about how to get involved. So I would like to have everybody make a contact either through you, I guess, or through this program in order to get involved. And don't feel that you need to do anything huge. If you want to, that'd be fantastic, of course, but anything that you can do to help us in any way, big or small, is so very, very important. We need mentors, we need interns, we need speakers. When you come to Lebanon, please stop by the center and talk to kids. Make the arrangement first. Just tell them about life. Tell them about who you are and what you are. we need people that can, again, connect us to all these different foundations and universities and high net worth individuals and just individuals. For everybody here to donate and find somebody else that would donate for us is fantastic. So what we need, that's what we need. We need everybody to be involved in one way or another. And that's why I thank you so much again for being involved, helping us with our story and allowing me to ask for people's involvement.
Well, it's my pleasure, Mr. Asher. Thank you for being here with us. I promise you this is my last question, and I know you've alluded to it, but I like to make a point here to ask it again. Who can benefit from the center today, Mr. Asher? Is it only for USEK students, or is it for anyone else, regardless of age, of background, who has an invention and needs help, your help, to tap into all the resources you have at the center?
No, the reason that this is at the campus of the Holy Spirit University is, again, because of my relationship with Father Hattie, but also because we needed the academic part. Mm-hmm. And as I mentioned to you before, there has to be this partnership between academia and hands-on learning. Mm-hmm. And we have that. I could tell you that in the groups of the startups that we have, that not all the students are from the university. There's university students who have friends in every other university, have friends from every other walk of life. And those people are very welcome and they're part of it. Our mission is, it states young people. Young people, because every country, Lebanon, the United States, or every other country, needs young people to grow because they have the energy to make change. They have the motivation. They want to do something and do it well. But so do other people. In the United States, I think the ratio is 10-1. Startups, there's 10 startups by people over 40 years old than under 40 years old. And it makes a lot of sense. People that go through the students that go through the innovation program and entrepreneurship program aren't necessarily going to walk out of school at a startup, but they're going to walk out more employable because they understand what the boss is thinking. They understand all the parts of a company and how they all come together and how they have to work together as a team so that company is successful. And then maybe when they're 30 or 40 years old, they will start. We have no barrier whatsoever for background, for age, for anything. As I mentioned, we have professors. We want more professors to be part of this. It's exceptionally important. We want more business people to come in and be a part of it. One of the things in the future that we hope to do, and I hope it's in the near future, is that we want to start a program for people who are in business now, small business people, and help them grow their company. And by the way, hire our students, okay? Connect, be part of the whole community. Part of our mission is to create jobs in Lebanon. So if you're 82 years old and you want to start a company in Lebanon, you're welcome, okay? You know I'm 82 years old.
Yeah. Well, yeah.
And I bring the young people in because they got the motivation, they got the energy. You know?
They really do, absolutely.
But
I like to add here, Mr. Asher, that for those who like to connect with the center, we have a contact. They can call Ms. Laura Corbin at 440-914-8430 or email her. I will leave the information in the chat box for whomever is interested. Mr. Asher, thank you for being so patient. I am done with my questions now. We can now go to the audience. I think have a few questions in the chat room. I will get to them in a second, but I'd like to remind everyone else today that to please use the reactions button on the bottom of the screen to raise your hand should you have, or should you choose to ask your question in person. I will then ask you to unmute yourself and you can ask. Please make your questions brief so that we can get to as many as possible. Let me see here. Somebody is saying they're Mira Khalil, she's very interested in donating and participating, but need to know more if possible. Thanks. Mira, I will post the recording of this event later. You can refer back to it, and you're going to have the contact information in the chat box. You can also go there. Thank you for your question. I have a question from Graziella Saliba Macaron. Graziella, could you please unmute yourself and ask your question?
Hello.
Hi, hello, Mr. Ambassador. How are you?
Fine, thank you very much. Thank you.
Welcome.
Dr. Asher, really. One moment, please. Really, Dr. Asher, thank you very much for being interested in improving education in Lebanon. You highlighted innovation in a perfect way, and we truly appreciate your important input about innovation and your achievement. My question is the following. Many years ago, I remember that Klaus Schwab of the Davos World Economic Forum, he said, and I am quoting him, he said, we have moved from a world where the big eats the small to a world where the fast eats the slow. In light of this beautiful saying, how can a Lebanese student manage or make a difference in Lebanon? Thank you.
Well, I first of all, thank you very much, Ambassador. I appreciate the question and I appreciate your comments. I think that the young people need truly to make the changes that they want for their lifetime. I think that in every society, it's the young people that have done that. In America, they're doing it all the time through the universities and through what they want and how they go about getting it. I believe that business is an important part of everybody's life. You could be in a corporation, you could be in government, you could be any place. But you need to be not just aggressive, but you need to be understanding of what it takes to get someplace. Some of us learn that very early on. Some of us, it takes us a while to understand it. I think that entrepreneurship leads us all in that direction. I think that innovation, especially, you have to start with an idea and then implement the idea if, in fact, you can validate it. I think that we have to teach our leaders, we have to teach our young leaders a way of life and a culture. We have to give them integrity. We have to give them trust. They have to earn the respect and the trust that's needed so that they can make those changes. I believe that entrepreneurship, I believe that business, I believe that innovation, all leadership, all truly help form the mindset to go forward and be great citizens and make changes. And I think that we give them the basis for that. I hope that answers your question.
Yeah, of course. Thank you very much. But since I have passion for innovation, do you think what is the secret of innovation? Is it a matter of efforts or a matter of talent? And you remember what said Thomas Edison, that genius is 1% inspiration and 99% persuasion.
Well, you're very, very right. And also, I always remember the story of Thomas Edison, who, after about 100 attempts to invent something, had a conversation with the people who were supporting him. When they told him, Thomas, you've had 100 more than that failures, I think it's time for you to go home. And he said, no, I haven't failed. I've learned 100 ways that things don't work. And about within the following year, he invents the light bulb, and hence the General Electric Company. He invents a movie projector. You're absolutely right. Innovation is key. It was key in your career, key in my career, and in everybody's career. And I think that a lot of people don't understand that aspect of it, don't understand how important innovation is. As I mentioned earlier, it kept me ahead of the competition. And I know that you can tell me any number of ways in which you were truly innovative. And there was a lot of perspiration involved behind the innovation too. So it's great advice to give every young person that we know. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you for your question.
Many thanks. Thank you.
Thank you. Well, we have a question from Cynthia. Cynthia, can you unmute yourself, please? Go ahead.
Yes. Hello, Mr. Asher.
Hello.
Adding on to what you've just been discussing, I'm in California, a student, and living in an individualistic culture. How do you convert the mindset from competitive to collaborative? It's especially with entrepreneurship and universities.
How do you please ask, collaborative and competitive?
Yes, how do you essentially change that mindset in young entrepreneurs from being competitive, individualistic, to being collaborative and working with, other inventors and other students? Because
I don't think that you should.
Right.
I'm competitive, but in some instances I need to be collaborative.
Okay.
You are competitive, but if you could get ahead more easily with a collaboration, where the collaboration has the same mindset, the same values that you have, I suggest you do it.
Right.
Maybe your competitiveness is what's needed in that collaboration. Maybe that's the resource that they need to put it over the top. So but I'm going to ask you, Cynthia, is there a specific instance that you're thinking about? There's specific facts?
I just know, being in the University of California system, for example, at UCLA, there's a very competitive environment and collaboration isn't always fostered. However, I'm just wondering, is it the beneficial aspect that people become collaborative, or is it just people coming into this program have the mindset of working with one
I think that in the startups that I'm experiencing, there's never one person in it. There's always several,
Very
two
true.
or three, so that they are collaborative. But there's also some fallout there.
Okay.
I mean, not all made it, and some of them haven't made it because they couldn't get along with each other. Philosophically, they weren't the right team. But
Right.
they found others who were. Some have anyway, spun off and found others who were in the same mindset, the same value system. And I can tell you that from my lifetime, being the only one, if you're not, don't have a collaboration, don't have a partnership, seek the best mentors, the best advisors, the best people around you to get the advice. And just make sure that they have the same sense of values that you have. You have to also, in these collaborations, you have to like the people. They have to like you. You have to have a relationship with people. You
Yes,
want
as
to,
you said, that trust.
I'm sorry.
Yes, essentially you answered my question. I'm just like building upon that trust and that commitment.
That's right. Yes.
All right, thank you.
Sure.
Thank you, Cynthia. Mr. Asher, anything else you'd like to add before we leave off?
Other than sign up and thank you for putting me on the show as your guest. I very much appreciate it, and hope to see you another time.
Sure.
Very much.
Yes, well, it was an honor, Mr. Asher, and an absolute pleasure to have you on Unheard Stories. Not only you have an amazingly inspiring story of success yourself, but you've paved the way for others and many to write their own stories of success. The Asher Center for Innovation and Entrepreneurship is much needed to guide us out of the economic disaster in Lebanon. To everyone else in the audience, thanks for joining us today. Please don't forget to connect with us again. Unheard Stories comes to you monthly on the last Saturday of every month. Don't miss our next episode, which is scheduled for Saturday, May 29th. My next story comes to you straight from Hollywood, California. The star of that story is Mr. Talat Captain, a 30-year film and television industry veteran, a producer, and the leader of multiple businesses and philanthropies, which include, among many others, the world's largest aviation-themed entertainment studio called Air Hollywood, which with locations that stretch all the way to South Korea, and where many of the most iconic airplane scenes of Hollywood movies are filmed. Please find the link to register for the event in the chat box. To watch past events and know about our future ones, you can follow me on social media. Thank you for bringing us into your home and making us part of your Saturday. Goodbye for now. Thank you.
Thank you.